Namaste nerds, this is Navina, the Budget Pub Stomper, and today we're going to be talking about something a little bit outside my usual scope of things, and we're going to be talking about a specific card, Gifts Ungiven, which I think is a totally fine and reasonable Magic the Gathering card that should have never been on the banned list in the first place. No, I don't actually think that. I think it's close. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes things up. I think this is a very, very powerful Magic the Gathering card. I think probably it's a little bit better than Intuition. I'm not sure about that. It definitely depends on the deck. Context is everything. But I do think it's going to make its way into our budget builds. Now, right now, I think the cheapest you're getting a Gifts Ungiven for is about right here it says $10.32. I think maybe that'll calm down a little bit. I think right now everybody and their brother is trying to run this card. Everyone's buying them up. Every CDH deck that's got blue in the color identity is trying to force a Gifts Ungiven package into their deck. I think that's going to go away, and then hopefully it'll come down, $7, $8. Underworld Breach is down to like $7 or $8, and we can start doing poor man's Intuition piles in our budget builds, which I think is exciting. So this video is going to be about Gifts Ungiven and some of the dirty shit we can get up to it. Really, the reason that I took it upon myself to make this video is because I was trying to find the video, and I couldn't find any content on this. So I think there's some sort of a saying that you should make the content that you want to see, and I am literally doing that right here. This is going to be some of these piles, so I'm going to be talking about the various ways that you can turn Gifts Ungiven into a one-card win assembler, depending on your color identity, depending on your deck strategy, a lot of times depending on the commander, but just kind of generally. And some of these piles are going to be very budgetable, some of them not so much. Definitely inside the $100 like hundo meta. It's going to be kind of difficult to squeeze a lot of these packages, but some of them will fit. And I think if you get into anything much more than $100, you can do a lot of gift ungiving. You can do a lot of gift ungiving at like the $200 bracket. So without further ado, let's start talking about ways to lose friends with Gifts Ungiven. Alright, so this is going to be your kind of just standard run-of-the-mill pile. Everybody knows this one. I want to just get this out of the way. This is just the same exact thing that people have been torturing us with. Well, I should say T&K. Blue Farm has been torturing us. All of the Jeskai CDH decks have been torturing us with this pile for years now. But now it got a little bit, I think, more powerful in that instead of having to fire off an Intuition instep, we can do the Gifts Ungiven, which yes is 4 mana. I don't think that matters very much though, because with most of the piles that you'd assemble with Intuition, you're going to need to have more mana than that anyway to actually do your combo. So generally, what players would do with their Jeskai or Jeskai plus Underworld Breach decks in CDH is they would instep before they untap, firing off an Intuition, and the pile would be Savine's Reclamation, Lion's Eye Diamond, Underworld Breach, and they'd say, okay, you put one of these in my hand and the other two will go into the graveyard, and it really does not matter which you pick, which is the hallmark of a Intuition pile or a Gifts pile. So just for instance, if you haven't seen this, maybe you'd want to make sure you get Brain Freeze, and then you're in this situation where you've got Brain Freeze to mill cards into your library to fuel your ability to recast the Lion's Eye Diamond, which you can crack for mana to cast your Brain Freeze, which will put fuel into your graveyard so that you can recast your Lion's Eye Diamond, so on and so forth until you build up an enormous storm count and you either use it to find a combo inside your own, like another combo. Maybe you transition into Bomberman or dual caster mage, twin flame, or you can just do this. You can just brain freeze yourself and cast the Lion's Eye Diamond and crack it and brain freeze yourself, so on and so forth. Build up a crazy storm count, and then you start pointing brain freezes at your opponents. So once your storm count is at 20, then this becomes 2 mana, mill 60 cards. And you do that to your opponent once, and then again, and you just keep doing that until everybody's milled out. It doesn't matter if they give you the breach, because if in the intuition situation, if I give you Savine's Rack, then the Underworld Breach and Lion's Eye Diamond go in the graveyard, and you cast the Savine's Reclamation to bring the Underworld Breach into play, and then you're right back in the situation you were just in. Because now we're going to instep and we're going to get 2 cards. And if it didn't matter which one of these cards I got before, it surely doesn't matter which 2 of them I get now. So that's the standard kind of Jeskai, which I think really Jeskai is the big winner in this ordeal. I think Jeskai decks, I mean, for sure, Blue Farm got like 0.5% better. But I think a lot of these Jeskai decks just got a whole lot better. The problem with Jeskai decks, and the 2 that come to mind, are Malcolm Bruce, which actually has a really high win percent. It's not played very much, and the conversion rate isn't super high. But if you just look at its raw win percentage, it's one of the, if not the highest win percent among all of the Malcolm decks. But Malcolm Bruce just got a huge power boost because, I don't want to say it always suffered from exactly one thing: tutor density. So the nice thing about Malcolm Bruce, I've played around with it a bit, but this is the boring pile, and I want to get into some of the, this is the second most boring pile. So this is another Gifts Ungiven pile. So Gifts Ungiven in step, maybe we're not in the Jeskai color identity, maybe we're just strictly in a Demir color identity. I actually helped a buddy of mine come up with a clean win line for his Eurocode deck. Now, he had been just super enthused about the idea of playing Snapcaster Mage in his Eurocode deck. He just likes the synergy of it being a body that's a little bit more relevant in Eurocode than in a lot of decks, but also he likes the idea of going to combat with Snapcaster Mage and ninjutsuing in Eurocode, putting the Snapcaster back into his hand and being able to reuse it over and over. So this is the little pile I came up with for him. We can use Snapcaster Mage, Reanimate, Demonic Consultation, and Thassa's Oracle. So if this is your Gifts Ungiven pile, again, it doesn't matter what cards your opponent gives you. So let's say they give you the Snapcaster Mage and the Thassa's Oracle. Well, then the Demonic Consultation and the Reanimate go into your graveyard, and this goes into your hand. So what you're going to do is cast your Thassa's Oracle, then you're going to hold priority, and you're going to flash in your Snapcaster Mage, and you're going to use it to cast Demonic Consultation, and there's your Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation win. So it's a 2-card combo, all assembled and in step with Gifts Ungiven. So Snapcaster can be substituted for, I think, what'll be a lot more popular version of the combo, which is Spellseeker, Reanimate, Thassa's Oracle, and Demonic Consultation. So the the idea here is if you get stuck with the Snapcaster Mage, you Snapcaster back your Demonic Consultation. But if you get stuck with the Spellseeker, you can't do that. So if this is the pile that they give you, well, then there's a couple ways around. You can cast your Spellseeker, leaving Thassa's Oracle in your hand. You cast Spellseeker, and you find a Tainted Pact. You get your Tainted Pact, then you cast your Thassa's Oracle, then you cast the Tainted Pact. Or if somebody gives us the Demonic Consultation and the Reanimate, then we can cast Reanimate, targeting Thassa's Oracle, hold priority, cast Demonic Consultation. If somebody gives us Spellseeker and Demonic Consultation, These two go to our graveyard. We can cast the Thassa's Oracle, searching our library for Unearth, or just some other reanimation spell, depending on your color identity, but let's just say Unearth and Demir. Then you will unearth your Thassa's Oracle, hold priority, cast Demonic Consultation. If they give you the Reanimate and the Thassa's Oracle, then you're going to cast the Reanimate on the Spellseeker. The Spellseeker is going to find Tainted Pact. You're going to cast your Thassa's Oracle and then your Tainted Pact. And so that is how that pile works. Again, we can substitute the Spellseeker for the Snapcaster Mage. Moving on. So this is a pile that I came up with because, well, I've got an Armix Thrasios deck. I did a video breakdown, a deck tech, and really like a, what do I want to say, like a dissertation on why I don't think I should be playing Thrasios with Tymna. So I did like a doctoral defense of my option to choose Armix Thras over Tymna Thrasios. And I think I did a good job. Take a look at the video. Look at it. Watch it. It's good. It's a good deck. It wins. It's fun. It's interesting. And what I wanted to do is just use cards that were already in the deck and see if I could just slot only, because the deck list is so tight. And I still haven't figured out what I'm going to take out to put Gifts Ungiven in. But there are multiple piles that just lead to a win without having to do any other retooling of the deck. So right now I'm thinking about taking out, what's the bauble? Vexing Bauble. I'm thinking I might have to cut the Vexing Bauble, or I've still got two pieces of 2-mana interaction. I've got Cyclonic Rift and not Assassin's Abrupt Decay. So I could maybe take out the well, this isn't about that. But I found but definitely Gifts Ungiven is going in the deck. It's a powerful card just by itself. It's just got high card quality. Here's how you know how good Gifts Ungiven is, just in a pure how good is this card in a vacuum sense. One of the things that you can do to try to get around Gifts Ungiven is you can try to flash in an Aven Mind Sensor. So imagine somebody flashes an Aven Mind Sensor. Like, that pretty well shuts you down, right? But literally, the card still is not that bad. I mean, it's really... So, Fact or Fiction is not a terrible card. It sees play in budget. Like in 100, in the Hundo meta, people will play Fact or Fiction. And rightly so, it's fine, right? It's a reasonable card. Reasonable rate. It's not bad. Well, even if somebody flashes in an Aven Mind Sensor, I still think Gifts Ungiven is the better card. Isn't that crazy? So that's how good that freaking card is just by itself. But if you have piles that are going to win you the game, aside from just being able to use it for value, because nothing stops you from just using it as like double Entomb, which you can do. You can fail to find and only find 2 cards with your Gifts Ungiven, and you can put the exact 2 cards you want in your bin. You can just put them there. Which actually I've got some piles where we're going to discuss that. Or like you just find 4 counter spells and 2 of them go in your hand. So you kind of get card advantage, and then you also get some stuff in your graveyard, which a lot of times is of benefit, right? So it's just a good, powerful card on its own. So obviously I'm going to put it in my deck since I've already got win lines in the deck, not even on purpose. I mean, before it was even unbanned, before I even... Without any thought of Gifts Ungiven, I have multiple win lines that do just end the game, or at least allow me to put a win on the stack by resolving Gifts Ungiven, and this is one of them. So we've got Thassa's Oracle, Reanimate, Eternal Witness, and Demonic Consultation. So this is probably pretty obvious how this works. I don't know how much time I need to spend explaining this, but you obviously cannot give me Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation, or that's my A+B win. You obviously cannot give me Reanimate and Demonic Consultation, because that just shaves 1 mana off of my A+B win. So that would have me reanimate the Thassa's Oracle, cast the Demonic Consultation, win the game. So the only thing you can really do is you can give me Eternal Witness. If you give me Eternal Witness and reanimate, then I'm going to reanimate the Thassa's Oracle, and I'm going to Eternal Witness for the Demonic Consultation. And I'm not going to do it in that order, but you get the idea. So there's really no good thing you can do. You give me Ewit and Demonic Consultation. I think maybe that's the best thing you can do, because that's going to cost me 1, 2, 3 to get the Thoracle back. Cast the Thoracle is 4, 5, 6. That's going to cost me 6 mana. But it's a dork deck filled with mana rocks, and we've got rituals. It's got mana. We've got mana. If we do anything in that deck, we do mana. So that's one pile that just was in the deck. I just had to find it. A more popular pile for the disbelievers, for all of you non-hipsters, or for those of you who haven't watched my video on Armix Thrasios yet, and you still believe that TNT is the better deck. I say that halfway tongue-in-cheek. It depends on the build, man. I'm telling you, if you're doing a Razakath build, you might want to... I honestly, truly, literally believe that if you are playing the Razakath based version of TNT, you would be better off switching to Armix Thras. And I'll see if I can remember to link the video. Watch my video. It shouldn't be that hard to find. You found this? Find that. Armix Thrasios. CDH. It's the truth. It's the better Razakath build. But maybe you're not playing Razakath. You're playing TNT without Razakath, which is totally fine and done more often. So totally reasonable. Well, here's your pile. So if you wanted to give Gifts Ungiven a shot, but you weren't sure how to actually close the game out, and you're in these colors, and you've got an infinite mana outlet. So like if you're in Thrasios with what's the little doggo, the white dog. If you're TNT, if you're playing Timnan Thrasios, or if you're playing Yoshi, is that Yoshimaru? If you're playing the little white doggo with your Thrasios, this is a pile. You give Ungiven for these 4 cards. If your opponent says, here, you can take the Devoted Druid and the Reanimate. These go to the graveyard. Then what you can do is you cast your Devoted Druid. Now, it may look like you're going to have to pass the turn and finish the game on your next turn, but that is not the case. Your Devoted Druid does have Summoning Sickness, so you can't tap it, but nothing stops you from untapping it. So you can still use this ability, even when it has Summoning Sickness, to put as many neg 1 counters on Devoted Druid as you'd like. Well, 2, I guess you can put 2. So you cast your Devoted Druid for 2 mana. And I think probably a lot of people will give you this. This is what they'll give you exactly, because they don't know. They'll think they're going to get an extra turn out of it. But they won't, because now you know. You cast your Devoted Druid, and you neg it twice, so it goes into the graveyard. And these 2 are already in the graveyard. Then you, for 1 black mana, cast Reanimate, bringing out your Hazel's Brewmasters. And when it ETBs, you're going to find a creature card in your graveyard and exile it as a food token with all of the Devoted Druid's abilities. And so now we've got a Devoted Druid Nugget that's going to tap and untap endlessly for infinite mana. You're going to draw your deck with Thrasios, and you're going to win the game. But I hear you saying, Navanad, you're telling us not to play TNT or Yoshimaru. You're telling me I should play Armix. Now, first of all, you better be careful with the accusations, because I didn't say that. What I said was, if you're playing a Reanimator strategy. And in fact, what I said exactly was if you're playing Razakath. But I'll go as far as say if you're playing a reanimation strategy, you should play Armix Thras. Anyway, we can't play Swift Recon. And in case you're not familiar, I guess I should go through. Let's back up just a second. If somebody gives you in this little pile Swift Recon and Devoted Druid, you cast Devoted Druid. You use your Swift reconfiguration to turn Devoted Druid into a vehicle, which is an artifact, which does not... Haste isn't a thing for artifacts, so neither are neg 1 counters. And so this is another way to win the game on the spot. You'll make infinite green mana immediately. You don't have to wait until... No, you don't have to wait until Summoning Sickness wears off. Swift Recon, Devoted Druid, GG's, if you've got Thrasios. Or maybe somebody gives you Reanimate and Swift, then you just use your Reanimate to bring out the Devoted Druid, Swift Recon on the Devoted Druid. Or if somebody gives you Hazel's Brewmasters, that's the worst thing they can do. Well, maybe not mana-wise, but I guess it's the most obvious thing that they shouldn't do, because anytime you've got Hazel's in hand and Devoted Druid in the graveyard, you're going to put a win on the stack. The other cards are kind of irrelevant at that point. So if they give you either of these piles, either they give you Hazel's with Reanimate or Hazel's with Swift Recon, either way, the only thing that really matters is they gave you Hazel's and they put Devoted Druid in your graveyard. You cast Devoted Druid, you exile this into a Devoted Druid Tinder, and you get to negging it. Okay, so back to your accusations about me. Now, I told you to play a deck that doesn't have Swift Reconfiguration, and then I showed you an example that does. Just replace it with Animate Dead. These are also 4 cards that were already in my Sultai deck. I didn't have to change anything, except probably get rid of Vexing Bauble, which I do really like, especially in an artifact kind of synergistic deck, you know? Who knows? Maybe it won't be Vexing Bauble. Maybe we'll just cut a land and I'll be like all of you children that can't be trusted to run a respectable mana base. I'm down to 28 lands. Maybe we can go to 27. Got lots of dorks. Anyway, this is my pile. This is one of my piles. And this pile is same as the Swift Recon. Obviously, if you give me Hazels and Devoted Druids in the graveyard, same deal. If you give me Devoted Druid with Reanimate, same deal. I guess the only differences are when you give me Animate Dead with something. So if you give me Animate Dead and Reanimate, then I am going to just Reanimate. I guess at this point it doesn't matter. I just Reanimate or Animate Dead the Hazels. I guess we cast Reanimate on Hazels. And we've got Animate Dead as a backup. So make our Nugget. If you counter the Reanimate, then I cast Animate Dead and make a Nugget. I feel like there should be more explaining I need to do. If I get Devoted Druid with Animate Dead, still should be pretty obvious. We cast the Devoted Druid, Nugget so that it goes into the graveyard. Use Animate Dead to bring out the Hazels, make infinite mana, win the game. So that is another Gifts pile. This is another Gifts pile that is just naturally in my deck. I didn't have to do any work to get there. This one's a little bit more convoluted. Let's see how we're doing on time. Not great on time. I don't like it when my videos go over 40 minutes. They tend not to get as much viewership, and I've got a lot of piles to go through. Oh, hell. Well, this is a cool one, though. There we go. Okay, so let's say you give me Survival of the Fittest and Devoted Druid. Then I'm going to cast the Survival of the Fittest, and I'm going to pay 1 green mana to put Devoted Druid into the graveyard and tutor up a Hazel's Brewmaster. I'm going to cast the Hazel's Brewmaster. I'm going to make the Devoted Nugget and make infinite mana and win the game. If you give me Devoted Druid with Eldritch Evolution, I'm going to cast the Devoted Druid. I'm going to cast the Eldritch Evo. I am going to Eldritch Evo the Devoted Druid into Hazel's Brewmaster, and I'm going to make a Devoted Druid Nugget. If you give me Liberty or give me Death, If you give me Ewit with survival, then I'm going to cast a survival. I'm going to bend the Ewit to find Hazel's Brewmasters, and I'm going to make a nugget. If you give me, what am I missing? Eternal Witness and Eldritch Evolution. Have we done this one yet? Then I am going to cast the Eternal Witness to get Devoted Druid. Cast Devoted Druid, Eternal Witness, the Devoted Druid, into a Hazel's Brewmaster. So hopefully that is pretty self-explanatory. These are just kind of lines that I use in the deck already. But just being able to have 2 of these pieces and bend the other 2 is it's nice. It's nice. Now this isn't a pile that I would go for. If I had Gifts Ungiven, some things would have to have gone just so. We'd have to be maybe I already tried win attempts, and this is kind of what I'm limited to. But this one actually ends up being pretty mana intensive, unless you just screw up and give me the wrong pieces. Next. Oh, this is one I just was thinking about when I was... So I've always been an opponent to playing Underworld Breach in your teamer decks. I don't think it's good. And the reason has always been having to play Lion's Eye Diamond and Brain Freeze sucks. And when Underworld Breach is the combo piece that you need, and with teamer you've only ever had 2 tutors, you have Muddle the Mixture and Gamble exactly, and that's it. To find your Underworld Breach, well, you're just twice as likely to draw Brain Freeze or a Lion's Eye Diamond than you are Underworld Breach. If you draw the Breach, fine. That's, great. Breach is a fine card. And it's not the hardest thing in the world to find your other pieces when you're in teamer. But if you draw Brain Freeze, you basically skipped your draw step. And now you're just hoping to somehow find either your Underworld Breach or find both of these. It just sucks, right? So now I'm not saying that you should definitely start playing Underworld Breaches in teamer. I'm not saying that. I am saying, though, that with the recent printing of Shifting Woodlands, and now that we have legalized Gifts Ungiven, I think it starts to make a hell of a lot more sense. We're getting real close, and it may just be worth it. In fact, in some decks, I think you probably, even in teamer, should be an Underworld Breach deck now. I never thought I'd say that. But no, I think it's probably the case. So the normal pile, I think, and so now the reason is because we got the Shifting Woodlands that can be kind of a breach clone, and it can be part of our Intuition piles. Intuition is a fine card on its own. Shifting Woodlands, fine card on its own. We still have to play 2 bad cards, which kind of stinks, but now there's a little bit more reason to actually play them and ability to assemble them. And it gives us another 1-card win condition in Gifts Ungiven. So the standard gifts pile, I think what you'll start to see people kind of advertise is this. This I think will be the go-to teamer. I haven't seen anybody talk about it yet, but I think this will end up being the standard teamer go-to Gifts Ungiven pile, which is all really going to just be about, we're going to have our Brain Freeze and our LED, and we're going to have either Underworld Breach in play, or we're going to have a Shifting Woodlands that we're able to, for 4 mana, turn into an Underworld Breach. So we're basically going to have our Underworld Breach, and then we're going to go into our Breach Freeze line that we already talked about at the beginning of this video. So this is really cool. It's a cool teamer Gifts Ungiven line that you can use in just generically. You can use this in just any teamer deck. I'd probably use it in ones that already want to play Shifting Woodlands, and I would use it in ones that actively want to play crop rotation, because this actually is not the pile that I would shoot for. The pile that I would shoot for would be this. If you're in a generic teamer deck, maybe you're playing Rog Thras. I think right now most of them don't play Underworld Breach, but that may change now. Or I don't know. I don't know that most of them will change, but I bet you some of them will change. I think some of them already are playing Underworld Breach, even though I don't think they should be. And now that we have Gifts Ungiven, I think that maybe it would make sense for some of those decks. And so since people have already been playing it, I think what we'll see is a lot of people playing it. But I don't think they should be playing this pile. I think they should be playing this pile. What's the difference? Well, just get in the habit of doing this for a couple reasons. One, Shifting Woodlands has to have Delirium turned on. So you have to have 4 different types to turn on Delirium. 4 different types of cards in your graveyard. With Crop Rotation, I can cast Crop Rotation, sacrifice a land, and that's already just automatically going to put Crop Rotation, which is an instant, and the land that I sacrificed, which is a land. So you'll already have 2 types in your graveyard. Then you're going to end up with an enchantment, likely an enchantment, Underworld Breach, and Lion's Eye Diamond in your graveyard, which is going to just automatically turn Delirium on for your Shifting Woodlands. Hopefully that made sense, because I don't want to spend a whole ton of time on this. But basically, you're looking for a way to go into that. I've got Brain Freeze, I've got LED, and I've got Underworld Breach, so I'm going to win the game. But when you give somebody your 4-card pile with Gifts Ungiven, it's going to be Crop Rotation, Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, and Brain Freeze. Then probably they're going to give you Crop Rotation, and hard to say what else they're going to give you. But they're not just going to give you the Breach. They're going to make you work for the Breach. So they're going to give you the Crop Rotation. They're going to put the Breach in your graveyard. Let's just say they give you the LED, and they put the Brain Freeze in the graveyard. Well, now you Crop Rot for your Shifting Woodlands, and so that means that there's an instant in Crop Rot. There's a land that you sacrifice. That's 2 types. There's a Underworld Breach is an enchantment. That's 3 types. And then when you crack your Lion's Eye Diamond, which you're about to do, that will give you 4 types that will automatically turn on Delirium for Shifting Woodlands. You're welcome. You're welcome, teamer players. You are welcome. The teamer deck that I do play is that's not it. Well, I was gonna say the teamer deck that I do play is Malcolm Tana, and I also do not play Underworld Breach in that deck, and I don't have immediate intentions to test it out, but I'm looking a little bit harder at it now. I probably will do eventually. I will test it out at the very least. But I also like to play Malcolm Ketis. I don't think it's as strong, but it did just get a whole hell of a lot stronger. There's actually a lot of, you've got Intuition. I already play Intuition in the deck, even though I don't play Underworld Breach. But now that we've got a second, better copy of Intuition, I think I probably will end up slotting Underworld Breach back into Malcolm Ketis. And I say back into because I did used to play it before Hull Breacher got banned, because you didn't have to play so many bad cards. I didn't play LED. I just played a wheel package and, never mind what I used to play. Here's the new thing. So with Malcolm Ketis, you can play Glinthorn Buccaneer, obviously. But you can use Glinthorn Buccaneer, Underworld Breach, Reckless Fireweaver, and Artificial Evolution as your Gifts Ungiven pile. You guys are welcome for this. Was freaking hard. I spent a lot of time and energy on this. I hope you appreciate it. And share and like and subscribe and tell all of your friends how awesome I am. Artificial Evolution on a Reckless Fireweaver with Malcolm in play wins the game. If you're not familiar with the combo, I think at this point we're at like 40 minutes. You're just going to have to take my word for it. They cannot give you this pile. They can't. That is 3 mana, win the game. So they're going to have to give you Underworld Breach and Artificial Evolution. Problem with that is that puts Glinthorn and Reckless Fireweaver in the graveyard. We can cast our Underworld Breach, use it to cast our Reckless Fireweaver, Artificial Evo our Reckless Fireweaver, win the game. And if they stop that somehow, we can still use our Underworld Breach to cast our Glinthorn, win the game that way. So they obviously can't give us that. Now they can't give us any pile that has Glinthorn Buccaneer in it. So Glinthorn Reckless, Glinthorn Artificial Evo, Glinthorn Breach, those are all right out. So that doesn't leave any piles, so they can't give us anything. No matter what they give us here, we are going to put a win attempt or two, depending on what they do. So try to find the person that looks the dumbest in your pod. Like if somebody looks just kind of like a bit of a fucking moron, find the moron and give him the cards. Or the person who's like all, they're all about themselves. They're going to win this game alone. They don't need anybody's help. They don't need help from the table. Give it to that player and hope he fucks up. Because the table together can probably figure out, like, not to give you Glinthorn plus Underworld Breach. But hey, man, you give it to the fucking moron with the Coke bottle glasses that stinks. Give it to that kid. Chances are you may just end up with an Underworld Breach and a Glinthorn. You'll thank me later. Some of the other things that you can do. So this is our pile. This is probably like the main pile that I'm planning on testing. But there's some other shit we can do. And this works with the Dermotaxi can, how do I want to put this? We can do Glinthorn, Dermotaxi, Underworld Breach, get rid of these bozos, and then maybe just use this guy. So this could be our pile. Because maybe our Reckless Fireweaver, and we've got, I play 3 versions of Reckless Fireweaver, but I don't know. Let's just say all 3 of them got dealt with somehow. So we just really want to try to win with Glinthorn. This can be our pile. This is another perfectly serviceable Malcolm Ketis win pile. The Malevolent Hermit is not important here. It's just a creature to help tap to activate our Dermotaxi, and it's a creature that gives us value if we put our gifts pile together and they end up putting this guy in the graveyard, then we can disturb it and bring it back out if we've got enough mana. But hey, Malcolm Ketis pukes mana. It vomits mana all over the table. It's disgusting. You should see it. If we turn this guy over, he's kind of like Grand Abolisher at home, but he's Grand Abolisher at home that we can play out of the graveyard. So in a sense, he's better than Grand Abolisher. I said it. You can quote me. No, this is underplayed. Okay, so in this pile, not that important in this pile. It's just a 4th card. In this little, how do I turn this back over? Okay. So in this pile, if they give us Glinthorn, we've already talked about that. If they can't give us Glinthorn because we just Glinthorn and win. Glinthorn is a 1-card combo with Malcolm, so they can't do that. And even if they did, they'd have to give us one of these other cards too. So maybe they think they can deal with Glinthorn. They've got a removal spell, and they're like, well, this Dermotaxi is just a stupid card. So they give you Dermotaxi and they give you Glinthorn. And you cast the Dermotaxi and then you cast the Glinthorn and they kill your Glinthorn. And then you use your Dermotaxi to tap 2 untapped creatures you control. And until end of turn, the Dermotaxi becomes a copy of the exiled card, except it's a vehicle. So basically, Dermotaxi can be a copy of Glinthorn Buccaneer. So if they give us Dermotaxi and Malevolent Hermit, which is probably what they should give you, and they put this in your graveyard, you're still going to win. You just need to have another creature. So you cast your Dermotaxi, and you exile your Glinthorn under it. You cast Malevolent Hermit. You tap the Hermit, and you tap one of your little pirate buddies to activate the Dermotaxi, and it becomes Glinthorn Buccaneer. Go to combat, win the game. Or maybe they are on to that plan. They know about the Dermotaxi. They don't, but maybe they do. They really don't. But let's just say they do, hypothetically. Then we are going to say they put the Dermotaxi in the bin. They know they can't give you that. And so they give you these 2. Great. You're just going to cast your Underworld Breach. You're going to use it to bring the Glinthorn back into play. You're going to win the game. So there's some Malcolm Ketis piles for you. This is a Teamer Malcolm pile for you. Okay, we are way too long. Oh, hell. So, what we could do Yeah, there's like a bunch of piles here. This is one. Okay, so if they give you the Underworld Breach, you win by reanimating the Glinthorn. If they give you the Glinthorn, you win by Glinthorning. If they give you any pile that has the Finale, then you're going to cast the Finale. And a lot of people seem to miss this, but Finale allows you to not just search your library for any creature and put it into play, but you can search your graveyard or library. So you will cast the Finale to get the Glinthorn Buccaneer out of your graveyard, put it in play, win the game. The fourth card is probably just going to be a counterspell. If they screw up and... I guess the coolest thing they could do for you is they could give you Glinthorn and Pact, and now you just have a protected win. But even if they're not quite so cool, if they're not quite so cooperative, they still may end up not understanding how Finale works and give you Finale with Pact. I bet you that's what you'll get most of the time, and then you still just have a protected win. 5 mana, you have Glinthorn out of the graveyard and Pact for protection. Or maybe they give you Underworld Breach and Pact, in which case you breach your Glinthorn out, Pact for protection, recast Pact out of the graveyard. And then there's variations of this pile that are just going to use Invasion of Ikoria. Maybe we... Here, this pile is about the same as that pile, right? Because Invasion has the same wording. Invasion will pull things out of your graveyard or your library. So any of these 3 cards, Underworld Breach, Ikoria, or Finale, will get your Glinthorn out of the bin. And they've got to give you 2 of these, right? So they're not going to give you Glinthorn, but if they give you Glinthorn and Finale, then you get to Glinthorn, and if it doesn't work, you get to Finale. They're not going to give it to you. But more realistically, if they give you Ikoria and Finale, then you just have 2 attempts at 5 mana, I win the game. If they give you Ikoria and Breach, then you Ikoria, try to win the game. If it doesn't work, then you Breach and try to win the game. So those are some Gifts piles. This one's getting crazy. So this is another teamer. In fact, if I were going to try slotting this into my deck, these cards are already in my deck, sans Underworld Breach. So it would be, these would be the 2 piles that I'd be going after. Now right now I don't play Shifting Woodlands, but I do play Crop Rotation. I obviously play Glinthorn. I do play Ewit. So I'd really only have to put Underworld Breach and then make room for another land, and we'd have a pile here. These are just basically going to represent, it's going to be like this. Just like we talked about, we're going to Crop Rot as our package. This is going to be the package. They're never going to give you Glinthorn. They can't, or you'll win. They're going to give you probably Eternal Witness and Crop Rotation. These go into your graveyard. You are going to Crop Rot for the Shifting Woodlands, and they're going to be like, oh, you're so smart. Totally missed that. Didn't think of it. Didn't see it. And now your Delirium is turned on, and now you can turn your Shifting Woodlands into your Glinthorn Buccaneer. That sounds pretty good, right? That doesn't even get Eternal Witness involved. But if something happens, they Assassin's Trophy or Shifting Woodlands, then you can Eternal Witness to get your Glinthorn out of the graveyard. Hopefully this is all starting to see kind of seem like a pattern, because it's all sort of variations of the same thing. Next, just want to talk about these last 2. And really it's like this last one. Depending on your color identity, you can use either Razakath or Hoarding Broodlord. There's other big fatties you can reanimate that will effectively win you the game. These are the 2 I think that are probably going to be the best. There's ways to do this with Hulk if you have a sack outlet in your command zone. But let's just say you're playing... it doesn't matter. If you're playing the color identity with black and white, then your Gifts, and blue, you can Esper, in the Esper color identity, you can cast Gifts Ungiven, and you can fail to find all but 2 cards. You just find Razakath and Unburial Rites. This is your entire pile. They don't have any choice but to put them both in your graveyard. And now you can use the flashback of Unburial Rites. You can pay 4 mana, a white and 3 colorless, to flashback Razakath, and now you've resolved a Razakath. Congratulations. Good luck losing. When Razakath hits the board, it is really difficult to not win. You can do that same thing with Hoarding Broodlord, if you'd rather. And if you don't have the color ID of white, then instead of Unburial Rites, you can use Dread Return. And you can do like Dread Return and Hoarding Broodlord and fail to find the other 2. So this is your entire Gifts Ungiven package. They both go into the graveyard. You sacrifice 3 creatures to flash back the Dread Return, which is going to bring your Hoarding Broodlord into play. It's going to find Saw in Half. You're going to Convoke cast the Saw in Half to make 2 Broodlords. Your 2 Broodlords are going to have like Sacrifice and Peer into the Abyss. You're going to Convoke cast the Sacrifice. These tokens will still have the CMC 8, so you'll make 8 black mana. You'll Convoke cast your Peer into the Abyss, and you will draw half your deck with 2 mana still floating. And that is going to conclude today's lecture on how to lose friends by ungiving them gifts. AKA, Gifts Ungiven is fine. Totally legitimate to unban this card. What's the worst that could happen? I think I've showed you a lot of the worst that can happen. Until next time, word to your mothers and your brothers and your sisters. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Not you. You suck. You know what you did. East side until the day that I die. And namaste bitches. Sorry. Namaste horrors. Nope, that's not right. Namaste nerd homies.